Listen up. You keep telling me you want to be rich, you want freedom, you want success, but you don't want to do what it takes. You think working 8 hours a day makes you tough? You think clocking in at your pathetic job or grinding half-assed on a side hustle is enough? You don't get it. You don't even understand the game. Money doesn't sleep. Money doesn't take weekends off. Money doesn't care about your birthday, your holidays, or your feelings. And if you're not grinding 24/7, money is slipping through your fingers into the hands of killers who are grinding 24/7. You want to know why Andrew Carnegie became the richest man of his time? Because he outworked every man around him. He wasn't working 8 hours. He wasn't taking vacations. He lived the game. He breathed steel. He bled steel. He didn't care about balance. He cared about domination. Henry Ford, same story. Do you think the man who revolutionized the automobile industry gave a damn about self-care? He was obsessed. He was relentless. He worked his people and himself until they broke. And that's why his name is still in history books while you're still broke. Rockefeller, John D. himself, the most ruthless oil baron who ever lived. That man built Standard Oil into a machine that crushed everything in its path. He didn't stop at one deal, one company, one hustle. He swallowed entire industries. He was so dominant the government had to step in and break him apart. That's power. That's the grind. That's obsession. And don't tell me times have changed. Look at Steve Jobs. Look at Bill Gates. Jobs was a lunatic. He didn't care about being liked. He didn't care if people thought he was an asshole. He cared about building Apple into a monster that changed the world. He screamed, he pushed, he demanded perfection. Bill Gates, the man worked like a maniac, slept in his office, ate at his desk, and built Microsoft into an empire. He didn't play games. He didn't chase hobbies. He grinded every second until the software world was his. Elon Musk, he's running Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink all at once. The guy literally sleeps on factory floors. He doesn't care about a comfortable bed or a balanced diet. He cares about winning. He cares about pushing until he collapses, then getting back up and pushing again. Jeff Bezos, same thing. Amazon wasn't built on balance. Amazon was built on obsession, on brutal 24/7 grind, on thinking bigger and moving faster than anyone else. And you, what the hell are you doing? Sleeping 8 hours, hitting snooze 3 times, scrolling Instagram for motivational quotes? You're a joke. You want billions, but you can't even put in thousands of hours. You want Carnegie's money, but you're not willing to bleed like Carnegie bled. You want Rockefeller's empire, but you're not willing to be hated like Rockefeller was hated. You want Gates's wealth, but you're not willing to lock yourself in an office and code until your eyes bleed. You want Musk's empire, but you're not willing to sleep on a factory floor. That's why you're broke. That's why you'll stay broke. There's no such thing as work-life balance. Jack Welch said it. There are work-life choices, and choices have consequences. You choose to grind like a killer. You choose to put the work above everything else. You might just make it. You choose balance. You choose comfort. You choose holidays and Netflix. You die poor. Period. Don't argue. Don't cry. That's reality. Look at every billionaire I've named. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Jobs, Gates, Musk, Bezos. None of them got rich on balance. None of them got rich taking it easy. None of them got rich chasing side hustles. They got rich because they grinded 24/7. They obsessed 24/7. They lived the game until the game bent to their will. And don't come to me with your excuses. But Dan, I've got a family. I've got kids. I've got responsibilities. Bullshit. You know what's worse than missing a birthday party? Dying broke. You know what's worse than missing a holiday? Watching your family struggle because you never became a killer. You want to be remembered? You want to build a dynasty? Then you sacrifice. You pay the price. You bleed for it. That's what it takes. You've been lied to. You've been told you can work smart, not hard. You've been told you can hustle a little on the side and make it. You've been told you can manifest wealth without grinding. That's fantasy. That's loser talk. That's poison. The truth is simple. The killers grind when you sleep. They grind when you eat. They grind when you party. They grind until there's nothing left to grind, and then they grind more. That's what I mean when I say 24/7 grind. It's not just hours. It's mindset. It's obsession. It's every breath, every thought, every move dedicated to one goal: winning. Carnegie did it, Ford did it, Rockefeller did it, Jobs did it, Gates did it, Musk does it, Bezos does it, and until you do it, you'll never make it. You people don't get it yet. You think grinding means posting on social media for 2 hours? or answering emails late at night, or watching another motivational video. That's not grinding, that's playing dress up. Grinding is obsession. Grinding is when every second of your day, every ounce of your energy, every thought in your head is about one thing: winning. And if you're not obsessed like that, then stop lying to yourself. You don't want to be rich, you just want to be comfortable. You want to be liked. You want people to think you're trying. Let me tell you what trying gets you. Trying gets you broke. Trying gets you a participation trophy. Trying gets you forgotten. Winners don't try, winners do. Winners bleed, winners sacrifice, winners push until there's nothing left, and then they push again. That's the mindset of the killers I named. That's how Carnegie thought. That's how Rockefeller thought. That's how Jobs thought. That's how Gates thought. That's how Musk thinks every damn day. Look at Elon Musk right now. While you're whining about needing a vacation, that man is running multiple billion-dollar companies at once. SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, Starlink. He's sleeping on the floor of the factory. He's not asking for balance. He's not asking for rest. He's not asking for pity. He's obsessed. He's living the grind. And you're worried about work-life balance. You're worried about how people feel about you. You're worried about what your weak little friends will say if you miss a party. Pathetic. Bill Gates built Microsoft because he was a maniac. He didn't clock out. He didn't count hours. He coded until his eyes bled, until his body broke, until his name was carved into history. Jeff Bezos built Amazon the same way. Obsession, relentless work. 24/7, focus on building the biggest, baddest company the world had ever seen. Do you think Bezos built Amazon by taking weekends off? Do you think Gates built Microsoft by sleeping 8 hours every night? Do you think Rockefeller became a titan of oil by asking for balance? Hell no. And yet here you are, listening to people tell you to rest, to relax, to find balance. That's loser advice. Balance is for people who settle. Balance is for people who want average lives. Balance is for people who will die with nothing. You want wealth? You want a dynasty? You want to be remembered? Then you better throw balance out the damn window and get obsessed. You keep telling me you want money, but your actions scream the opposite. You hit snooze. You waste time. You hang out with losers. You listen to broke people who tell you to slow down. You waste weekends partying. You waste evenings watching Netflix. And then you cry about why you're not rich. Let me give you the answer. You're not rich because you don't deserve to be rich. You haven't earned it. You haven't sacrificed for it. You haven't given up enough for it. Andrew Carnegie built his empire because he worked when others slept. Henry Ford changed the world because he obsessed over his vision when others gave up. Rockefeller dominated oil because he was relentless in every deal, every negotiation, every move. Jobs transformed technology because he demanded perfection every second. Gates, Bezos, Musk, same story. None of them were part-time killers. None of them were weekend warriors. They were all in, 24/7. That's what I mean when I say grind. It's not about hours, it's about mindset. It's about obsession. It's about living the game so completely that nothing else matters. The killers I named didn't worry about being liked. They didn't worry about being comfortable. They didn't worry about balance. They worried about winning. That's why they won. That's why you lose. And here's the truth. Most of you aren't cut out for it. Most of you will never make it because you don't have the balls to live like this. You want wealth, but you want to sleep. You want freedom, but you want comfort. You want success, but you want people to like you. You can't have both. You can't be liked and be feared. You can't be comfortable and be rich. You can't play safe and win big. You've been brainwashed to believe in safety. Safety is the biggest lie of all. There's nothing safe about wasting your life working a job you hate. There's nothing safe about grinding a side hustle that collapses when you stop. There's nothing safe about building startups that fail 90% of the time. Safe is expensive. Safe costs you your future. Safe costs you wealth. Safe costs you freedom. You want to know the secret? There is no secret. There's only work. There's only obsession. There's only 24/7 grind until the world bends to your will. That's how the billionaires did it. That's how the killers did it. That's the only way. You want to know what separates the killers from the losers? It's not IQ. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's sacrifice. The killers are willing to give up what the losers cling to. The killers are willing to pay the price. The losers aren't. That's the difference. That's why the billionaires I keep naming carved their names into history while you'll be forgotten 5 minutes after you die. Listen carefully. Wealth demands sacrifice. You can't keep everything. You can't have balance, comfort, friends, approval, and still expect billions. You want Carnegie's money? Then you better be ready to bleed like Carnegie bled. You want Rockefeller's empire? Then you better be ready to be hated like Rockefeller was hated. You want Gates's wealth? Then you better be ready to lock yourself in an office and grind until your body breaks. You want Bezos's empire? Then you better be ready to miss holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. You want Musk's domination? Then you better be ready to sleep on a factory floor, eat garbage food, and work until you collapse. That's the reality. That's the price. But you don't want to pay the price. You want the reward without the sacrifice. You want the wealth without the pain. You want the glory without the grind. You want to be liked, to be comfortable, to have balance, and still have billions. It doesn't work that way. It never has. It never will. I've said it before. There's no such thing as work-life balance. There are only work-life choices, and choices have consequences. You choose balance. You choose to stay poor. You choose comfort. You choose mediocrity. You choose to be liked. You choose to be average. You choose to grind. You choose to bleed. You choose to obsess. Then maybe, just maybe, you've got a shot at real wealth. You want to know what sacrifice looks like? It looks like missing your daughter's birthday because you're in the middle of closing a deal. It looks like working on Christmas because the market doesn't wait. It looks like being called a monster, an asshole, a lunatic, because you put business above everything else. It looks like being hated by the world while you build something the world can't ignore. That's what sacrifice looks like. That's what the killers I named did. Carnegie didn't care if people thought he was ruthless. He cared about building an empire. Rockefeller didn't care if people hated his guts. He cared about dominating oil. Jobs didn't care if his employees thought he was insane. He cared about making Apple into a monster. Gates didn't care if people called him a tyrant. He cared about building Microsoft into a giant. Bezos didn't care if people said Amazon was a sweatshop. He cared about making it the most powerful company on earth. Musk doesn't care if people think he's crazy. He cares about winning. And you care about being liked. You care about what your broke friends think. You care about what your family thinks. You care about what society thinks. And that's why you'll never make it, because you put approval above wealth. You put comfort above domination. You put balance above greatness. I don't care if you hate what I'm saying. I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable. The truth doesn't care about your feelings. The truth doesn't care about your excuses. The truth doesn't care about your circumstances. The truth is simple. You'll never be rich until you're willing to sacrifice. You'll never be wealthy until you're willing to bleed. You'll never be great until you're willing to be hated. And don't tell me it's not worth it. Don't tell me family matters more. Don't tell me balance matters more. That's loser talk. Do you think your kids will remember that you were home for every birthday if you die broke? No. They'll remember the struggle. They'll remember the bills you couldn't pay. They'll remember the opportunities they never had because you chose balance over building. Do you think they'll thank you for being comfortable if you leave them nothing? No. They'll curse you. They'll struggle because of you. They'll live average lives because you didn't have the guts to sacrifice. The killers I named built dynasties. They changed the world. Their names will live forever. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Jobs, Gates, Bezos, Musk. What about you? What will you leave behind? Nothing. Because you're scared, because you want to be liked, because you want to be comfortable. That's why you're broke. That's why you'll stay broke. You think you're working hard. You think you're grinding. You're not. If you were, you wouldn't need me screaming at you. If you were, you'd already be on your way to billions. If you were, you wouldn't waste your time on balance or comfort or approval. If you were, you'd already know what it takes, but you don't. You're lying to yourself. And the worst part is, you know you're lying. Deep down, you know you're not doing enough. Deep down, you know you're scared. Deep down, you know you're weak. And instead of facing that truth, you cover it with excuses. Stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending balance is noble. Stop pretending comfort is enough. Stop pretending being liked is worth more than being feared. Stop pretending you want billions when you don't have the balls to sacrifice for them. Either admit you don't want it and shut the hell up, or step up, pay the price, and grind 24/7 until you get it. That's the choice. That's always been the choice. And you don't have much time left. The clock is ticking. Your excuses are running out. Your opportunities are disappearing. And when it's over, you'll either be remembered as a killer who built something that lasted, or you'll be forgotten as another coward who wasted his life chasing comfort. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. I've said it 1,000 times, and it never stops being true. Look around at the people you spend time with. If they're losers, you're a loser. If they're broke, you'll stay broke. If they're comfortable, you'll stay comfortable. If they're average, you'll stay average. You think you're going to grind 24/7, build an empire, and still hang around with clowns who sit on their asses all day? Not a chance. You are who you surround yourself with. That's why I keep screaming about environment. If you're serious about wealth, you've got to cut out the dead weight. You've got to cut off the losers, the whiners, the complainers, the excuse makers, because their weakness is contagious, their laziness is contagious, their fear is contagious. And if you stay around them long enough, you'll catch it. Andrew Carnegie didn't hang out with losers. He surrounded himself with killers. Henry Ford didn't waste time with small thinkers. He surrounded himself with visionaries. Rockefeller didn't build Standard Oil with quitters. He surrounded himself with sharks. Jobs, Gates, Bezos, Musk, all of them built inner circles of maniacs who lived the grind, who breathed the mission, who sacrificed for the vision. That's why they won. That's why you lose. You've got friends who tell you to take it easy, to slow down, to rest. You've got friends who say you're working too hard. You've got friends who laugh when you say you want billions, and you listen to them. You let their fear become your fear. You let their weakness become your weakness. That's why you're stuck. That's why you're broke. Because you got loser friends and you don't have the balls to cut them loose. You think loyalty to losers is noble. It's not. It's suicide. You think staying loyal to weak friends makes you a good person. It doesn't. It makes you broke. It makes you average. It makes you another nobody who dies with nothing. Do you think Carnegie kept losers in his circle? Do you think Rockefeller gave a damn about hurting people's feelings? Do you think Jobs or Gates or Musk cared about being liked? No. They cared about results. They cared about winning. They cared about building empires. If you want to play in the big leagues, you got to build a circle that forces you to rise. People who intimidate you, people who outwork you, people who don't tolerate excuses, people who demand more. That's how you grow. That's how you push past your limits. That's how you learn to grind 24/7. If everyone around you is comfortable, you'll never be hungry. If everyone around you is weak, you'll never be strong. If everyone around you is broke, you'll never get rich. And don't kid yourself, your family can drag you down too. Sometimes your family are the biggest losers in your life. They tell you to play safe. They tell you not to risk. They tell you to be realistic. They want you to stay small because it makes them feel better about being small themselves. They don't want you to grow because your growth exposes their weakness. And you listen to them because they're family. That's why you're broke. That's why you'll stay broke. Look at the killers. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Jobs, Gates, Bezos, Musk. They all made sacrifices with their families. They all missed birthdays. They all missed holidays. They all were called absent fathers, absent husbands, cold, ruthless, obsessed. And you know what? That's why they're remembered. That's why their names are in history books. That's why their families never struggled again, because they made the sacrifice. Because they chose wealth over approval, because they chose domination over being liked. You want to be liked. You want to be loved. You want everyone to say you're a nice guy. Fine. You'll die broke. You'll die forgotten. You'll die average. Or you can decide to be feared, to be respected, to be remembered. But you can't be both. You can't be liked and feared. You can't be average and great. You can't be balanced and wealthy. Choose. Your environment is everything. If you want to grind 24/7, you need people who force you to do it. You need people who make you feel like you're not doing enough. You need people who are so driven, so obsessed, so relentless that they make you uncomfortable. That's how you grow. That's how you rise. That's how you win. Stop hanging out with losers. Stop wasting time with small thinkers. Stop listening to broke people's advice. Stop surrounding yourself with weakness. Cut them off. Replace them with killers. Replace them with maniacs. Replace them with people who demand greatness. That's the only way. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't care about your excuses. The market doesn't care about your feelings. The game doesn't care about your comfort. It only cares about results. And if you're not grinding 24/7, if you're not sacrificing, if you're not surrounding yourself with killers, you will lose. You will die broke. You will be forgotten. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Jobs, Gates, Bezos, Musk, they all lived this truth. They all surrounded themselves with killers. They all sacrificed. They all bled. They all grinded 24/7. That's why their names live forever. That's why yours won't. So make a choice. Stay loyal to losers and die broke, or cut them off, surround yourself with killers, and give yourself a chance to build something that lasts. It's that simple. It's always been that simple. Stop pretending it's complicated. Stop pretending you don't know what to do. You know. You've always known. You're just too scared to do it. One day you're gonna die. That's not me being dramatic. That's a fact. And when you're lying there on your deathbed, when the lights are going out, when you can barely breathe, you're gonna ask yourself one question. Did I do enough? Did I give it everything? Did I bleed for it? Or did I waste my life chasing comfort, chasing balance, chasing approval, chasing scraps? And for most of you, the answer will be no. You'll realize you never went all in. You never sacrificed. You never grinded 24/7. You never gave yourself a real chance. You played it safe. You played it small. You played not to lose. And you'll die with regret. That's the truth. That's the brutal truth. And if that doesn't scare you, it should. Look at the killers I've been naming. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Jobs, Gates, Bezos, Musk. Do you think any of them are lying in their graves wishing they had more balance? Do you think any of them regretted missing birthdays, missing holidays, being hated, being feared? No, because their names live forever. Their legacies live forever. Their families never struggled again. Their empires outlived them. That's the payoff. That's the reward. That's the prize. And what about you? What will you leave behind? Nothing. A pile of excuses, a list of birthdays you attended, a Netflix history, a comfortable little life that no one will remember. That's what balance gives you. That's what comfort gives you. That's what being liked gives you. Nothing. I told you from the start, money doesn't sleep. Money doesn't wait. Money doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your balance. The killers grind 24/7. The killers sacrifice. The killers bleed. That's why they win. That's why you lose. You've been told you can't fail if you try. Bullshit. You can try your whole life and still die broke. You've been told balance matters more than money. Bullshit. Balance without money is just poverty with a smile. You've been told you can't buy happiness. Bullshit. Money buys freedom. Money buys options. Money buys control. And without it, you're nothing but a slave. So stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending you're grinding when you're not. Stop pretending your little hustle is a business. Stop pretending comfort will make you happy. Stop pretending balance will make you free. None of that is true. The only truth is this. Grind 24/7. Sacrifice everything. Surround yourself with killers. And maybe, just maybe, you'll have a shot at building something that lasts. You want legacy? Then earn it. You want wealth? Then bleed for it. You want freedom? Then grind for it. Day after day, hour after hour. No balance, no excuses, no breaks. Just obsession, just domination, just relentless, ruthless focus until the world bends to your will. And don't you dare tell me it's impossible. Don't you dare tell me you don't have the opportunity. You live in the easiest time in history to build wealth. Information is everywhere. Opportunities are everywhere. Businesses are waiting to be bought. Money is waiting to be leveraged. You've got no excuse except your own weakness. You're not poor because the world is against you. You're poor because you're weak. You're poor because you're scared. You're poor because you don't grind 24/7 like the killers do. That's the truth. That's always been the truth. And it's not going to change. The world doesn't give a damn about you. The market doesn't give a damn about you. Money doesn't give a damn about you. You either step up and grind or you stay down and die broke. That's the choice. That's the ultimatum. That's the game. So when you leave here today, you better decide. Are you going to keep living a lie, chasing balance, chasing comfort, chasing scraps? Or are you finally going to wake up, cut the losers out of your life, surround yourself with killers, pay the price, and grind 24/7 until you win? Because the clock is ticking. Your excuses are running out. Your opportunities are disappearing. And when the game is over, you'll either be remembered as a killer who built an empire or forgotten as another coward who wasted his life. So what's it going to be? Are you going to die with regret? Or are you going to grind 24/7 and leave a legacy that lasts forever? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. Don't waste it.